Hello. Today I want to talk a little bit about what you may call AI, artificial intelligence. I'm trusting that these terminologies will not impact my ability to have this video shared, and I guess we won't know until we release it. So anyway, why I wanted to talk about this is obviously there was a recent sort of saga with photo art being used by general public, the general public should I say, using a particular app. It's called Lenisa or something rather. Please correct me if I've used the wrong pronunciation or even the completely wrong word. My apologies. And obviously there was some stories that came out that the databases were they were using other artists' work without their consent, and then creating this art for people to use as their pretty little profile pictures and whatnot. I'm not going to go into that. There's probably plenty of other people talking about that. Obviously there's ethical issues with that. Will probably be discussed by many more to come in much more depth. And that's very obviously surface level to the issues that can arise with this technology. Not to say it's not important to be discussing, and that it is still considered an unethical practice by some or many, depending on who you talk to. So I guess it's just a really good reminder that AI is very much imposing itself upon us now. You can see it in that way, I guess. It's up to you how you wish to perceive it. There are many people like Lisa Renee, many other people that follow her or are guided by her work, and then others that are not, have discussed obviously AI and the multidimensionality, the multi-perspective awareness that we may wish to embody with this use of technology. And some, maybe many of you, maybe all of you, are aware that technology is introduced to the public at very specific times. There's no mistake as to when it is introduced. Often has been around in modern, we're just going to talk about modern times, this time frame we're in right now. It's usually been around for a number of years. Usually obviously within particular scientific communities or companies, governmental departments, military, things like that. And then it's introduced to the public, and it may be introduced in particular places of the world first, and then it's introduced throughout the rest of the world. There's a bit of experimentation and stuff like that goes on in regards to public behaviour and how they are with it. And some could say, well, that's a good thing, that they're withholding technology and that they're testing it. From a scientific point of view, that seems, a good ethical practice to do. And I'm not going to disregard that. But I don't know if many people are aware that sometimes it's actually used for a number of years within government departments such as military, and it's not always necessarily highly tested on. So that's potentially dangerous, right? So people that may be using particular technologies as weapons are also testing it. So, there's a lot to be said in that. It's not really the purpose of this video. What I really sort of wanted to say is AI, in a nutshell, it mimics creation by what some may say is stealing from it, by also perverting, spirituality or whatever, using black magic to serve self. Some of you may have heard of the term of service to self, service to others. That's sort of what I'm referring to here. So the service to self. It's this sort of concept of, beings that were, once of pure love and pure essence, and then, fell down the dimensional layers. So, yeah, AI could be seen a little bit like that. It's, there's something of its pure essence, and then it's fallen down into dimensional layers. It's no longer sort of direct from source. It's then using, the human kind of creates it like they are the creator, like they're trying to be the God or Allah or whatever figurehead or terminology you wish to use for that. And this sort of stuff will always be presented to us as, it's harmless, it's fun, there's nothing to really worry about this until, until we're in too deep, really. And then we're like, oh, well, now we can't really envision our world without this because we've now gotten so used to the things that this provides. There's that obviously happens a lot. It doesn't take much to talk to people of particular generations and they don't know anything about what it was like to have a black and white television or to have a telephone that you could only use that's connected to into the wall. So yeah, and now we're kind of like, how did we find out how to get from this suburb to 15 other suburbs away when we only had paper maps? So it doesn't take much, I'm sure, for us to sort of understand that. I guess the other thing is, like, if we had potentially known how nefarious that some of this technology could be at the time that it's introduced to us, we may or may not have allowed it to impose itself upon us. It's not just with AI, but other technologies as well. And, like, we each have a choice here. AI is another great example of it. Each have a choice of which reality do we want to plug into, and whether we allow the technology to consume us and to, like, which degree, or aka control us. We have our own choices to make about how much we wish to engage with this. How much do we let this consume us? How much do we let this control us? We may be very quick sometimes to say, oh, there's an external force that's telling me that I have to do this and have to do that. But you also can have the choice to often put your foot down. Well, that we're at this moment anyway, as to whether you want to engage in that, or if you do, then how conscious do you want to be about it? How intentional do you want to be about it? This all kind of reminds me a little bit of the story of Atlantis, right? The fall of Atlantis. The civilization that had these amazing technologies that far exceeded what we have today. But because of potential ethical and integrity issues that they may have had within particular parts of their civilization, there was the fall of their own civilization. And to keep it really simple, and a perfect example of it is a tool such as a knife. I enjoy using a knife to slice tomatoes or cut mangoes. I can just pick them up and eat them, yeah, but sometimes I want the tomato sliced. Sometimes I want the mango cut a particular way. Sometimes I don't want the juice all running down my hands. A lot of us can agree that, yeah, a knife can be a really good tool. But give that knife to, a very sharp knife, to a 3-year-old. Would some say that that is necessarily going to best serve the child when the child has no way, well, should I say, we're going to use the child as an example that has never been taught how to use a knife. Is that going to be the best thing for the child and for the child's surrounding environment when they have no way of knowing how to use the tool at that moment? They don't really have ethical concepts around the tool, potentially. And that's sort of where we're at when it comes to many technologies, and technologies that we've had in the recent, modern day, but in the past, and even with this AI. It's a tool, but how much, like, ethical guidelines have we learnt around it? How much ethical guidelines do we have in regards to other areas of our lives, which then obviously overflow into our use of the tools that are like externalizations of ourselves? So yeah, that's just another thing that I wanted to remind you on. But yeah, just don't always take it as it seems. There's plenty of interests out there. They want you to be fully engaged in this. I won't go any more into that, but you're welcome to leave any comments and questions in the comment section down below, and I'll see you in the next vlog.